Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
Hello, travelers. Welcome to the Travelers on the Omnibus. Today, I am your host. My name is Ethan.
I thought you were about to say, today I'm Ethan, as opposed to other days when you're not. There you go. My name is James McCarthy, also today.
Yes. Today, I am also Brady Davis. Tomorrow, who knows?
I am Jody Kite every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Well,
Every damn day.
Every damn day.
Well, now that we've established who we are today, what have you guys been up to, Jay?
I finally the 2020 Kickstarters are finally coming in 2022. So like the world is starting to become right again. Maybe I don't know, but no, I got Namiji from Funforge. It is the spiritual successor to Tokaido, and it is about a bunch of fishermen going around having the best fishing village romp that you possibly have. They're going to go like catch crustaceans and fishes, and they're going to offer offerings to the gods. And if they don't offer enough offerings to gods, they get minus points, and that's bad.
So you said this is very similar to taquito. Is it from the same people?
It's
that
not
made
like
them?
taquitos. Taquitos are a wonderful Mexican snack that you can just chomp on, and they are delicious.
At your local frozen food section.
At your local frozen
local
food. There's
restaurant.
like 5 different types of taquitos every row. It's
Okay,
amazing.
the
But now,
board game.
Tokaido.
My apologies.
Yes, the spiritual successor to Tokaido by Antoine Boza with art by the artist Naide. Exceptional art, very, very watercolory, very Japanese watercolory. I like that style. I love watercolors just in general. But the game looks very interesting. I haven't had a chance to set it down yet. If you've played Tokaido, you've got 80% of the game already in your head.
Okay.
So it's a very easy jump. I would say that if you already have Tokaido, you may not need to get this. But there are little bits of changes there that might get you to move forward. One of the reasons why I got it is my grandfather was a shrimp boat captain. And so the idea of like having a wonderful adventure on the sea and like all the cool things that happen, like it just kind of reminded me of him. So that's one of the reasons why I backed it. And I was not disappointed. From production, at least, from production side.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one on Kickstarter, and I was excited about it because Antoine Boza is one of my favorite designers. And I really like Tokaido, so I'm looking forward to playing this one day.
Well, hopefully that can change here in the future. Brady, what have you been up to recently?
I haven't been doing a whole lot of new stuff, but I did recently watch 2 movies that are known to be kind of modern classics, I guess you could say, of animation from a studio called Leica Animation. And those 2 movies are Coraline and Kubo of the Two Strings.
I love both of those.
Yeah.
They are phenomenal. I've always wanted to watch them. I just never got a chance, or were always putting them off. But I found that there were like some new Blu-ray releases of them, and I got both of them because Coraline, I wanted to watch because I'd heard good things, and then I also love Neil Gaiman. He's my favorite author, and then the guy who directed it, Henry Selick, he also directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, just something about those like stop motion animated movies. Just something about them just like entangles me to watch them.
Both of these
times.
movies are so beautiful it hurts sometimes. There are some like tactile things that they show in like Coraline that I'm like, oh my god, that is so beautiful. I can't like even like
When I saw Kubo, I didn't know it was by the same studio that did Coraline. So it wasn't until about like 1/3 halfway through the film that I figured out by like just mouth movements by one of the characters that it was actually stop motion because it's so fluid.
Yes.
And Kubo. And Kubo, it's really hard to tell that it's stop motion because the style that they use is very like aesthetically like a lot of like, Japanese, watercolor painting kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. And I think Kubo has one of the best beginning lines of a movie that I've ever heard. I was like, oh, man.
Hands down. Like, they had a like behind-the-scenes mini-series on Netflix about Kubo, and I didn't realize it until I watched the behind-the-scenes where it was stop-motion, and it's like he got inspiration from, like, The Fantastic Mr. Fox, Nightmare Before Christmas, all of those. I want to say like movie in 2012, Paranorman, was also stop motion.
Yeah, the same guy who directed Kubo directed that one. I was curious and looked him up.
But like just anything with stop motion is just so beautiful to me.
Well, it's a rare art form.
Yeah,
And stop motion, at least for me, is like the happy part of the Uncanny Valley. Like it's weird motion. For me, it's kind of hypnotizing. Like it moves like a person, but it isn't. But you allow your brain to just kind of connect that. So no, I agree with y'all in that regard.
And Nightmares, like in Coraline too, is like almost very, very close to the old claymation stop motion stuff from the Rankin and Bass stuff.
Yeah, and Kubo has one of the a surprisingly subtle Matthew McConaughey performance. You tell me Matthew McConaughey is a samurai beetle in this, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly how this is going to go, and it did not go that way. I probably wouldn't even know it was Matthew McConaughey if I didn't know it beforehand.
I had that same reaction this is a weirder connection to it. I had that same reaction finding out Colin Farrell was the Penguin.
Oh yeah,
That he melted into that role. I really didn't mean that as a pun, you don't see Colin Farrell in there, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing.
Jody, have you been?
I've been pretty good, Ethan. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. What you been up to here recently?
I recently finished the previous season of My Hero Academia, and that time I was reincarnated as a slime, which are both modern anime TV series.
Now, we've had our own discussions off air about both these animes.
Right.
I haven't caught up with Slime, but My Hero Academia, I'm very much excited for.
My Hero Academia, for anybody who doesn't watch modern anime, is basically it's your generic like shonen anime, but it's done very well. It does have a little filler in it, but if you like anything like Dragon Ball Z, which I'm not a big fan of, or Naruto, which I'm not a big fan of, it's kind of crazy that I even like this show because I usually don't like shonen animes. But one of the things about My Hero Academia, and I'm gonna get into slime in just for a second, is that for a shonen anime, it makes all the side characters important, and there are a shit ton of fucking characters on this show. So it's not just about the main character, which I find sometimes slightly obnoxious, like most shonens. But he's calmed down since the first season. But I think they're on I think this was season 4 or 5.
Season 5, season 6 is coming up.
Right.
Well, I guess, coming back as a slime, you're going to be like shocked.
That's a different show.
That's a totally different show.
So that time I was reincarnated as a slime is a sort of newish genre that anime has been going in. Back in the day, the late 90s, early 2000s, comedy/action animes like Tenchi Muyo were more like harem style, which you had like one guy and 17 love interests. Well, Slime is an isekai, which is either you are reborn as another thing or another human being, or it's basically like Stranger in a Strange Land, where you're teleported into an area where you're not familiar with. And Slime, he's basically a 40-year-old virgin who dies in the first 5 minutes, and he is reincarnated as a slime, as in like Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest slime. And the character...
That's an upgrade. I would also like to become a dragon because they just are always happy. Even when like they're getting beaten to death
He's super happy.
By the hero.
Well, the thing is, like, as a like lowest grade monster in this world that he's in, he immediately realizes that he has the ability to absorb power. And so, normally in modern animes, it takes like forever for anything to get going as far as storyline or character arcs or whatever. They're already at the end of season 2. That's what I got caught up on. And they've already progressed in what would have taken probably Dragon Ball Z its entire run in 2 seasons. So really happy about that show. It's really good. It's a show I would recommend to people that don't even like anime because it's so quirky. It's fun. It's action-packed. It's characters that you care about, and they resolve story arcs rapid succession, so it's definitely one to get into. And it's the manga's already ended, so it's not going to go on for fucking 10 years like some of these other shows that get canceled or any of that.
10 Piece on its 100th plus.
Yeah,
episodes.
One Piece is past 1,000 episodes.
Yeah,
so
that's not surprising.
That show is older than me.
Yeah.
Most things
I
are
know
older
a
than
lot
you.
of things are older than me.
Yeah, you just t-balled that up, and I was gonna take a swing at it.
You set yourself up for that one.
Our friend and podcasting colleague Jared Hubbard told me, please try My Hero Academia. Please try it. So out of friendship to him, I watched one episode, and then I immediately wrote the Pirate Bay asking for my money back.
Yeah. That I will say that first season is pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like it's almost Star Trek: The Next Generation season 1 bad. Mm-hmm. Like for me, like I could attach to no characters in the thing.
So because there really isn't any at the beginning. Let me just say what the beginning is. So in this world, in this universe, 80% of everybody has some sort of ability, much like the mutants do in the X-Men universe, where some people have awesome abilities like, teleport through walls like Kitty Pryde, or, can shoot electricity out of their fingers. And then some people can, like, shave pencils with their brain. So those aren't, like, the top, heroes.
All right, like with psychic powers, shave the pencils, or are they putting it in the ridges in their brain?
Both.
Both.
That's... Ethan, I know you're hosting, but man, stop me from having to be disgusted by this shit.
Nah, Jody can continue.
Yeah, no. There you go.
It accelerates through that first season.
Yeah.
But our hero Deku / Midoriya, whatever he's going by at that episode, is one of the few people.
That was the hero?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the hero.
Deku Midoriya is the hero. He doesn't have any powers, and so the most powerful superhero in the entire show
Kind of like mentors him.
Yeah, he basically goes, here, have a piece of my DNA, and like gives him a hair or whatever, and he swallows it, and like he, absorbs the power. But it's so powerful that it breaks his arms when he tries to use it.
Here's how fetid and diseased my mind is. So when you just said that, here's some of my DNA. There's a YouTuber called J Station, which if you want to see a great expose video on like the limits of
the
bad
dark side of
on
YouTube.
Nerd City did almost an hour and 20 minutes on J Station, and one of the things he does is that he cuts open puppets and then puts his DNA inside. He uses the term "puts his DNA inside it," and then they're like possessed by demons and shit. It's fucking weird. It always happens at 3 a.m. By the way, he even mentions, "Why does this stuff always happen to me at 3 a.m.?"
That's the
guys?
witching hour. That's why.
If this gets up to 20 million likes, I will do this again. And like that's literally like the format of the video. So when you mentioned that, like all I can think of is J Station putting his DNA into Deku, which the only significance that has to me is the Legend of Zelda series and the Deku Scrubs.
So if I was to pick out of those two shows, I would say that Slime is like way better than My Hero on every level.
There you go.
That's just my personal opinion.
Alrighty.
For me, recently, I've started a new job.
Hey, Ethan, what have you been doing?
Oh, glad you asked.
That was so passive aggressive. I love it.
But yeah, I started a new job here recently. I'm very much loving it so far. I'm surprised no one's kicked me out yet. Here's hoping that it sticks. But
I'll make a call. Don't worry about it.
You'll make a call
To get kicked out?
I'll make a call. It'll be great. I'll be like, dip, 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 dip. That's what my phone sounds like when I'm using the touch
Sha-na-na?
tone. Yeah. Yeah.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Shooby-doo. Anyway, sorry. No, backtracking. Ethan, continue.
gosh.
Bo-bo-bo-bo-bo.
But yeah, started a new job. Playing more Darksiders here recently. I want to say I'm about halfway through it so far. And also playing Elden Ring here and there.
Have you gotten past the troll?
I have gotten past a troll. And then I found another one. But I guess that's just how it goes.
Well, if you're going to have one troll, you might as well get two trolls.
Yeah.
But,
That's how the internet works.
Newsflash, I'm not playing that game.
Hey, Ethan, the fact that you are not only playing Elden Ring proves that you are not a true From Software fan.
Get good.
Yeah, get good.
Well, see,
Get good.
Well, seeing how this is my first Souls-like game, I didn't realize like the importance of like scaling all of your abilities whenever you level up.
You poor fool.
Yeah.
Oh, you sweet summer child. I don't know. I know nothing about this.
I literally thought you were about to say, I didn't appreciate the importance of knowing how to play video games. Like, it's like what? Okay, there you go.
That might apply here.
Yeah, guys, who knew that like hand-eye coordination is very important in this?
Yeah.
Oh, you picked the wrong stat 5 levels ago? Get fucked.
Yeah, that's how it is.
That's how that game is, yep.
So I got a weapon that's really good for my class. My class is more so faith based, so it deals a lot of holy damage with specific weapons. One of the best holy weapons in the game. One of the key stats that you have to use in order to use it. That's my dump stat, and so I literally have to either find another weapon to eventually use, or just just restart the entire game because I haven't figured out how to scale back levels.
That may sound smart, but I'm just kind of a barbarian pig when I go into like these games. Like I always do like fighter or something like that. So in Dark Souls, I just like it was strength, dex, agility. That's pretty much dodge stuff, hit stuff hard, and be able to move fast. Cool.
Yeah.
There is a sword in the game that requires intelligence.
Uh-oh.
In addition to sword, and it's a fucking pretty sweet goddamn sword. I think it's the sword Artorias drops when you fight him. If you don't have intelligence, you have to. If you want to use it, you got to build up the intelligence.
You have to know how to use the weapon.
Extra grinding.
Yeah. So no, I can definitely appreciate that grind. I play Dark Souls games to relax because I'm a weirdo freak. But yeah.
I mean, whatever floats your goat.
Okay. You're too young to do dad jokes, and that was a bad dad joke. Okay. Dads who did that joke
Okay.
would have their children taken away from them by DHS.
There's no such thing as a good dad joke.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
No. Can be.
Yes.
Tell me
I'm
good
a dad.
dad joke.
There's no such thing as a good dad joke.
Here's a good dad joke. Ready? Here we go. We're gonna cut that part out.
Yeah, I was as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, we're definitely gonna
So
cut that
Jay, future Jay, come back to this in 3, 2, 1. What is the difference? Jay, cut this one out as well.
Jay, you know that a Jay joke and a dad joke are two totally different things, right?
They can be the same thing.
No, they cannot.
No,
Yeah.
Ethan, it's your job to rein this shit in. You're
Yeah, I
the host.
know.
Yeah,
I
you're-
know
no,
this,
no.
but at the same time, I'm wondering: is he really going to cut all this, or is he just going?
Oh no!
leave-
What,
No,
I'm gonna cut,
none of this is
definitely
getting
needs to
cut
be
except
no,
for the
I'm
actual
cutting
jokes.
all the attempts, and then we're gonna mention I'm cutting this too, and then we're just going off from that, and so they
I'm
know.
fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now, again,
yeah.
people
This
will
part's
wonder-
not getting cut.
We will.
Yeah.
This
People will
5
wonder
minutes of
what the hell.
rambling.
What the hell was he talking
God.
about?
All of y'all are terrible. Anyways, today we are coming to you passengers.
Host, sorry, excuse me. I'm putting a quick emergency stop. I have to make amends for a statement that I made in the previous cast. When I mentioned 10 candles, I mentioned it in that it is a diceless RPG. Clearly, that is wrong. It is a dice. In fact, there are 10 dice. Literally, that's all the dice that there are in the game. I was more thinking of it in the terms of the real system there is the time and the candle mechanic, more so than anything else. But there are dice in that game, so my apologies to all of both the travelers, riders, and or flyers of the omnibus. I shall try to endeavor to do better in the future. I probably will fail.
Thank you for saving us one strongly worded email.
Well, we already got it. We already got it. But it was for me, so it's okay.
There you go. Okay.
Well, pending Jay's apology for the last cast, today we are coming to you with our top 5 board games. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go around the bus, and each person is going to go interrupted as they tell us their top 5 games.
Uninterrupted. So.
Uninterrupted.
Yes.
No,
Put that-
completely
put that-
interrupted.
You got to put that on there.
I did say uninterrupted.
No one could tell.
I couldn't hear you say. If you said it, I'll apologize.
I also
Uninterrupted.
I also was like
I'm seriously not trying to give you shit
No,
today.
definitely not.
I'm kind
Not
of a
this
little
time.
bit, but not so much.
That's every day for Jay, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's every
yeah.
day, bro. Oh no, we're gonna be sued by Jake
bro.
Paul.
No, our
Please.
worst fears.
Let's-
I'm
let's
so
keep that
scared.
guy.
I
Guy's
watched
name.
Jake Paul, so I had no idea that was a Jake Paul reference.
Yeah, he has a song called "It's Every Day, Bro."
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good for him. Great.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Illuminati.
No one cares about Jake Paul.
Jake Paul's in the Illuminati. We're really fucked up.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
100%.
All right. Anyway, so yes, top 5. Continue, Ethan.
So yes,
Sorry.
each one of us is going to give us our top 5 board games of all time, and then
Of all-
and then-
of all-
and then
of
all time beyond.
I might put an echo on that.
Cool.
I might.
Nice echo effects.
Cool.
So I will go ahead and give the top 5, and it can go in any order.
Two things. Okay, after we give our top 5s, we're going to argue and kibitz, and we're going to present to the travelers, to our audience. We are going to present the official 100% unarguable. Travelers of the Omnibus, top 5 board games of all time.
This can only end well.
This can only end in peace and harmony.
Yeah, guys, if you thought the other episodes were like, hey, they're being really way too nice to each other.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
oh,
No,
sweet summer
now,
child.
on that note, also, everyone has one nuclear bullet for the nuclear werewolves. It's a silver and nuclear. If you have nuclear werewolves,
If
you
they're
need
nuclear
a nuclear
werewolves,
silver bullet.
wouldn't the nuclear make them stronger? Isn't that how
No, you
usually
have to have
things
it.
work?
No, you have to have nuclear silver bullets in order to kill nuclear werewolves.
But doesn't the nuclear
Okay, we'll
cancel
piece that out later.
And you have to shoot it from a hadron collider. So
when
it's
we're done
no
with
bets.
this, you have to wipe off the board so we can math all that out. too.
Exactly. There you
Yes.
go. We'll do a conspiracy theory on nuclear werewolves and how to stop them.
Oh,
but
they're
no,
not a conspiracy theory.
oh shit!
I'm full of all of those.
You're full of nuclear werewolves.
No, conspiracy theories.
That's
Okay.
that's the second T-shirt. It's just you, with like werewolves
full of
coming
all
out
of
of your skin, and on the back it's gonna say, "I am full of nuclear werewolves."
Every orifice filled with werewolves.
Let's keep your fantasies to yourself, huh, Ethan?
Hey,
Hey, you're the
kink
one
shaming
saying
here.
that you're full of
I know. I said I was full of conspiracy theories.
Okay.
After I mentioned nuclear werewolves,
And conspiracy theories were also mentioned in the same second.
yes, but in between the bridge was nuclear werewolves, so I thought you were filled with nuclear werewolves.
Well, that's your
now
misconception
I
of
need
reality.
a gun or a hadron collider. We still haven't established this yet.
I like this as a
I don't
bus,
think
but we're
hadron
off the
colliders
rails.
have anything
Absolutely.
to do with nuclear stuff.
Yeah, the multiple detours, bumpy roads.
No,
and all
this
that, twists and turns.
this Toyota Wagoneer that's a brand. This one's it's gone off the road now. No, the second thing again, each of us has a nuclear bullet, with the exception of everyone's top one. Each person can eliminate one game from the list. It cannot be someone's top one, but can be any other game on those lists. So it is possible that one list will be knocked down to only its top one, including the owner of it knocking out one of their own. So just something to consider. Here we go. So Ethan, I believe you wanted to
Yes.
start this thing off. Okay, I get to start writing now.
All right. So coming in at my number 5, I have Wingspan. Wingspan is very fun. It's a very relaxing game that I tend to enjoy with a good amount of people. No matter how many times Brady gets mad at me for picking a bird that he likes or that he's scouting out.
I wanted that blue-footed booby.
Uninterrupted. Uninterrupted.
But yes, Wingspan is just very calming, relaxing, very fun to sit down. If I ever have 1, maybe 2 hours to spare, I always want to grab a Wingspan, whether I play it by myself, with some friends up here at the shop, or just me and my girlfriend. Coming in at number 4, I have Space Base. Space Base is one of those games to me where I can really get a competitive edge against, like I said, group of friends up here at the shop, against my girlfriend, against my siblings. No matter how many times people get mad at me, I always still find a way to enjoy it. Number 3, it is a game I picked up about last year called Lords of Vegas. Lords of Vegas is very much I want to say like a resource management type of game. You're essentially casino owners on the Las Vegas Strip. You build casinos, you rival other casino managers, which are the other players. There's a really good amount of randomness to the game, along with the complexity of what type of casino to build, what odds do I have of a certain one being pulled for me to profit more. Just everything about the game, I love it. I love it. Number 2 is a game I do not believe anyone amongst us has played besides me. I'm not too sure. It is a game called Suro. Suro is a multiplayer game where each player, they have to survive the longest. It is essentially a tiles game. Each tile has a path for your character to take in order to progress through the game. Each tile can intertwine with other tiles, making complex paths with loops and hoops and whatnots. It is a game that I played with my siblings growing up. My brother, who recently moved up to Washington, he took it with him, unfortunately. But all the memories I have of the game, it's very cherished to me. So that's my number 2. My number 1 all-time favorite board game is going to be Letters from Whitechapel. Letters from Whitechapel, Jay introduced to me, I want to say 6 months ago. and I fell in love with it. Letters from Whitechapel is essentially a game about the Jack the Ripper killings in England, where one player plays as Jack the Ripper, murders someone, and they have to escape. He either has to escape the police for 4 nights in a row, or he can escape one person, and is very much a game of mental chess. You have to conceal your location from everyone else while everyone else trying to figure out where you are. I've played it multiple times with my girlfriend. I got it for her for Christmas. She loves the game. I absolutely love the game. It's probably the most mentally challenging game I've ever played, and I always have a blast when I play it.
Alrighty, so to recap, number 5 for again Ethan's list. Number 5, Wingspan. Number 4, Space Base. Number 3, Lords of Vegas. Number 2, Suro. Number 1, Letters from Whitechapel. I think everybody at this table has played Suro. I know I have.
I have.
I
It's a good game.
Jody, have you played Suro?
I have not played that one.
Okay, so 3 out of the 4.
I redact my statement.
No, you don't have to
No, you don't have
redact
to
it. But
redact
I just kind of want to get because I knew I had played it, but I realized we had never played it together. So I think that was one of the reasons behind that. But yeah, there we go. All right, solid list, gentlemen. Who wants next?
I'll take next.
All right, this is Jody's top 5.
My number 5 is Gaia Project, which is a reskinning of Terra Mystica. And Gaia Project and in Terra Mystica, one is sci-fi based and one is fantasy based. Gaia Project tightened up the rules a little bit. So in Gaia Project, you're playing, you get to choose from a bunch of alien races, and you're trying to basically build a planet. And the functionality in the game, besides the theme, which is like, actually technical world building, is pretty much almost like every kind of game type in it. You have, worker movement, worker replacement, resource management. You have all of that. It can also be daunting to look at if you've never played a heavy board game before. It's pretty heavy. It's not Trajan heavy, but it's pretty close. So Terra Mystica / Gaia Project. I'll say Gaia Project, though. Number 4 is Kaido. Really cool Japanese aesthetic board game where you're basically traveling merchants going across the Tokaido Road, buying things like paintings and food. And it's a really interesting game because I don't remember any other game like having that sort of like turn order where whoever's like last is first. And all that. My third is Roll for the Galaxy. I've talked about it before amongst the fellas. Roll for the Galaxy is a dice game where you're acquiring planets and developing those planets and acquiring more dice to develop more planets and developments. I really enjoyed that one a lot. Azul Summer Pavilion. Out of the 3 Azul games, it's my favorite. It is a tile drafting game, and you're trying to acquire tiles to build a pavilion for a king. And then my number 1 is Whitechapel. So no need to go into any of why I like Whitechapel. Ethan pretty much nailed it on that. So yeah.
All right, your list. We have number 5, Gaia Project / Terra Mystica. I think putting them both in the same
It's
slot.
the same game.
And I'm excusing myself for a choice that I'm going to be making
Okay.
later, perhaps. Spoilers. Number 4, Tokaido. Number 3, Roll for the Galaxy. Number 2, Azul Summer Pavilion. Number 1, Letters from Whitechapel. Another solid list. Brady, do you want me to go first?
I'll go.
All right, here we go. This is Brady's top 5 games of all time.
Okay, so to start off, I kind of struggled with the last part of my list. My top 3 were pretty solidly there, but I really had to think really hard about my 4 and 5. In a year from now, 6 months from now, those could switch, or maybe one of these other games that got really close would get in there. But so my number 5 is Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I'm certain Jay is going to probably say more about this, but it's a really epic. It's one of the most epic of epic games. It takes a very long time to play. It's very involved. It's a game that you're just like, okay, for the day, this is just what we're going to do. Everybody's a different race, and they're fighting each other and taking over planets and using those to score points. We play it every year on Jay's birthday as a special thing, and I look forward to it every year. And yeah, it's a really good game. It's a really deep game. There a lot of stories are told in the game, so it's great. My number 4 is Euphoria. Euphoria is a game by Stonemaier, and it is a game where it takes place in a dystopia, in kind of a 1984 type thing, but all the people are hooked on this drug called bliss, and they don't understand that they're in a utopia because they're all kept dumb from this drug. And you're kind of a middle management guy who has a team of workers under him. It's a worker placement game, and those workers are represented by dice, and the number on the dice is how intelligent the workers are. So when you place them on the board, like if they're more intelligent, they can help you in some ways. In some ways, it won't help you. But you have to be careful, because if your workers get too smart, then some of them will run away. If their total is higher than a certain total, one of them will run away because he realized he got too smart, and he realized that this is a dystopia, and hey, I gotta get the hell out of here. It's a really cool game. It's a worker placement game that works kind of like a race. You're racing to get these 10 stars, which is your influence, on the board. And there's a lot of really interesting mechanics. The aesthetic is very cool. It's a lot of like big bright colors, but everything is named in kind of a 1984 thing where it's like something that's like the opposite of what it should be. It's a really cool game. Really pretty game. My number 3 is, and you're gonna notice a theme with these last 3. My number 3 is Rising Sun. Rising Sun's a kind of an area control game. They call them, those dudes on a map game, where you are on the island of Japan, and you're a clan, and you're trying to score the most points by, winning battles and getting honor, and everybody has like really asymmetrical powers and abilities. But you also, throughout the game, you make alliances where you ally with another person, and it makes the actions that you take during a round better. If you or the other person, the person you're allied with takes an action, it gets stronger. So yeah, that's the Eric Lang, Simon, the mythology trilogy. This is my favorite of those 3. The other 2 being Ankh and Blood Rage. But it's a really, really good game. Number 2, which was my number 1 for a very long time, is Kemet. Kemet's another dudes on a map game, but this is your ancient Egypt, your Egyptian gods controlling people to take over temples and fight with each other. It's a very, very aggressive game. The cool thing about this one is everybody starts off the same, but you have this display of tiles that you can purchase, and they give you power. So as you play, you can kind of customize how you want to play and the extra powers that you get. And you also can buy like monsters that stay with you and give you cool abilities. And but it's a very, very customizable game. Like, there's a section of tiles that are more about being aggressive and attacking, and then there's one more about defensive, and then there's one more about, messing with the prayer points, the currency of the game that you spend to do things. And it's a really, really cool, interesting game. Very aggressive. It turtling up doesn't really work in this game. You have to go out and fight people and get in their face. But that was a really cool. And then my number 1 is a game called Scythe. It's another one by Stonemaier Games, and this is kind of a dudes on a map game, but it's more of a Euro version of it, where you might get into fights in the game. You're all factions in an alternate post World War I that was fought with mechs. The lore is actually that Nikola Tesla created this area called the Factory, where they made all these mechs for each of the countries, and they fought World War I with mechs. And you're all coming to this area surrounding the factory to try and take over the factory, and so you can get control over the ability to make the mechs and everything like that. But it's really cool. Everybody has like a animal companion, and this is also a very asymmetrical game. Everybody has different powers. You even have different boards where the everybody has the same kind of actions, but when you take an action, you have an upper action and a lower action, and the combinations of those are changed depending on which board you have. It's a game where you can be very aggressive, but also you can win the game without ever fighting, because it's also about, you know, building resources, and you have these little goals throughout the game that you're trying to do. But that's my number one.
All right, so Brady's top 5 again. Twilight Imperium 4. Number 4, Euphoria. Number 3, Rising Sun. Number 2, Comet. Number 1, Scythe. Again, another solid list. I'm enjoying this, gentlemen. Ethan, take the chalkboard. You'll be writing down my numbers while I explain them to everyone.
Chalkboard taken.
Take care. All right, chalkboard acquired. All right, so my number 5 is Mysterium. Mysterium takes all of the good stuff about Clue and the theme of Clue and gets rid of all of the bullshit. Do you not like random rolling to try to get into the kitchen? Get rid of that. Do you not like the fact that everyone should be trying to solve this mystery together? Get rid of that. It is one of the best cooperative board games in the world, and aesthetically, it is probably one of the most pleasing board games I've ever played in my entire life. Number 4, Letters from Whitechapel. It has been gone over twice, but I will go over it a third time and just saying that this game is one of the few games where you play with minimum a player count or maximum player count and nowhere in between, and you get two very different yet very compelling styles of play. One is a super chess game, and the other one is almost a murder mystery where the monster is actually the one who is terrified. My number 3 is Arkham Horror, specifically 3rd edition. Arkham Horror, for a long time, was probably my number 1 board game of all time. It has slacked up, I think, in recent years, only because I think the randomness that I enjoyed in the earlier versions has gone away. Story-wise, it does tell a much more coherent story from playthroughs of it, and it's one of the reasons why it's still on my list and still very high on the list. But for me, Arkham Horror is one of those games where it's like, we want to beat something difficult tonight, and we don't want it to be each other. Arkham Horror, that's where you go with that. My number 2, Twilight Imperium, 4th edition. The best epic game on the market, in my opinion. If you're going to sit down for a day and play a game, it's going to be Twilight Imperium 4. I love it because it's not a whole bunch, not a few big gears that you have to kind of figure out everything and be complicated. It's a bunch of little gears that all lock in together, and it makes a giant machine, but it's a machine that you can understand and play and sit down and have a good time with. My number 1 of all time, this is a split because the original version is no longer available in print, and the second version of it, which is now a different theming for it, I think also fits well, and I think also goes out here, but it is Battlestar Galactica / Unfathomable. My favorite game of all time. It has co-op, it has non-co-op, it has random events that could set everything back to where like one side was losing, now they're winning. You never know with this game. It is a very difficult game in the best sense of the word, in that it is challenging to the players, both on both sides of the coin. It is my number 1 game of all time. So that is my top 5 board games of all time.
So for Jay, we have number 5, Mysterium. Number 4, Letters from Whitechapel. Number 3, Arkham Horror. 2, Twilight Imperium. And number 1, Battlestar Galactica / Unfathomable.
Okay. I would like to yank the chair away real quick, and if everybody knows, I put some notes around everybody's stuff. So just from like listening to the list, I think Brady, you knocked it out of the park. You're Mr. Dudes on boards. Yeah. Like put some people on the board. Let's move them around. Let's see what they do. Let's see what actually like. Most of that is Euphoria is the one that kind of stands out there a little bit.
Well, I felt like it ended up on there because also I love worker placement, and that's probably.
Yeah,
my
I had a secret over-under on you of 2.5 games from Stonemaier Games, and I actually took the over because I thought Wingspan would be on your list, but I had a feeling
Wingspan was very close.
Yeah.
Wingspan was very close.
With Jody, I went with Mr. Euro. It's a very Euro list. That, again, not a bad thing. There are a lot of great Euro games, and there's a good number of them on that list. Letters qualifies for one. Azul definitely. Roll for the Galaxy. Really the entire list, absolutely. And Gaia Project, I haven't had a chance to play. I have played Terra Mystica. For a long time, that for me was 1 and 1A. I had a choice between either buying it or Archipelago, and I went with Archipelago because there was a copy of Terra Mystica in the shop that someone else had. But as far as heavy Euro games go, that is for me right up there. So like again, a lot of respect there. Ethan, I wrote down Cutthroat Chill, and what I mean by this is these games can be chill or they can be absolutely stab you in the throat.
Yes.
Like Wingspan, like we mentioned, Wingspan's it's very nice. It's a pleasant game. You're building a
just
bird
collecting
sanctuary.
birds.
You're just collecting birds.
you just wanna have
until Ethan steals one of Brady's birds, and then it's all of a sudden, now
So
it's
you take
on.
my goddamn peregrine falcon.
Yeah, and that was it. It's it.
and I'll keep taking your Peregrine Falcons every single game.
There you go. See,
You will really, because that's my favorite bird, and I always try and.
I will make it a promise to take the Peregrine Falcon
All
from
right.
now on.
All right, cool, awesome.
I didn't think this would be the first passive aggressive moment of the show.
I don't
but there
think
we
there's
go.
no passive in there.
Yeah, we call it that way so we don't get arrested.
He's just. If I didn't like Wingspan so much, I might just first do a spiked nuclear bullet.
Oh shit! And there we go. So space base again. You guys you can collect your ships and everything's fine, or you could just collect the ships that other people need. And how dare you? Lords of Vegas. I'm gonna build my block. And they go, wait, what do you mean you're extending into my? What are you doing?
You've taken my
Las
casino.
Vegas.
What?
Lords of Vegas, I would argue, is only cutthroat. If you want to win that game, you have to be cutthroat.
You have to.
I would agree, but you can be cool about it though. It's like,
I
hey
guess so.
man, it'd be a shame if I'd built on this parking lot next to you. Oh, now I own your casino. What are you gonna do about that? As Suro, again, that is a very relaxing game. Plays in almost less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's pattern recognition. It's laying patterns down. But the minute someone lays a pattern that fucks up your plan,
Yeah.
You just fly off the
no.
Or
board.
God forbid, it's in the perfect place for them to move somewhere,
Yeah.
and then them to move somebody else's
something.
Yeah.
off the board.
I need to make I need to make a redaction.
Okay.
I've actually played Suro.
Okay, there we go.
Like,
So
like 1 minute you're chilling in the center.
All of a
the
sudden, the
board.
dragon pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dragon pops up, and
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you're one tile away from
Right.
flying off the board.
Yeah.
and then letters from White. Well, it involves Jack the Ripper, so of course Cutthroat. But again, that's another game where you can, depending on your group, everybody can either be like very methodical, go, I believe he's here. I believe he's here. And like the same Jack can be like, or you can be just frank as it's like, I'm going to 143. And if anyone doesn't follow me, you're helping him. You're an accomplice. So
or you can have it where one person really fucks up, and then somebody that's on the cop team says fuck it and starts giving.
I have no idea what you're
starts
talking
giving
about,
Jack
Brett.
all the hints about what to do,
Oh,
and then you basically work. It's a two on the others
on-
instead of a one versus all.
That's-
I wasn't in this session.
That's,
Oh,
for-
no, you
that's,
were not.
that's for anecdotal reasons. That's a super special secret version of the game you can play. For legal reasons, that has never been played.
No,
here.
no, 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 no.
Someone-
I took it upon myself to quantify you fine folks. Quantify me. What does my list say about me?
There's a lot of cooperative on here in one way or another.
Very true.
Like with Mysterium.
Mysterium is totally
yeah,
cooperative.
100%.
Layers from Whitechapel is mostly cooperative. Arkham is mostly cooperative. Twilight Imperium's the only one that sticks
Yeah.
out there. And Battlestar Galactica / Unfathomable are mostly cooperative.
I'm also seeing like some kind of like horror sub theme, like Mysterium. You're trying to figure out who killed the ghost. Arkham Horror's in the
Right.
name.
And then also we have like pretty much like a 50-50 split on like light games versus heavy in that as well.
So, if anything, I'd
See,
say
that to me, that list is completely heavy. Like even Mysterium, Mysterium's the lightest one on there, and even that kind of gets heavy duty in my
I
opinion.
argue Layers from Whitechapel is not super heavy either.
But that top three,
top
man.
three are
Oh
Definitely,
yeah, 100%.
like letters can either go from 15 minutes to 2 hours.
Yeah,
depending
but
on who
when I mean
plays.
heavy, I mean like,
Yeah.
it can be an
Like,
entry level game.
It's not.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
Archipelago or Terra Mystica
Right,
level where
right.
you have a bunch of stuff going.
Yeah.
on.
It can be a first game for somebody who's played, regular like Parker Brothers board games
Yeah.
and not have a whole bad time unless they're playing Jack.
Yeah.
Then maybe.
Yeah.
Then they're either having the best time of their life or the absolute worst time.
Right.
Yeah.
It is the I've said this before that it is the most intense seat in all of board gaming when you are playing Jack and Letters from Whitechapel because again you are the monster but you are also the one that is running for your life.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, very solid list, Jay.
Yeah.
Solid list all
Hello,
around.
I am Solid Listman. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
That's my name.
Solid
Listman.
Listman.
There we go.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
unfortunately, none of you picked anything that I hate.
Yeah, I know.
That's also true.
And
I'm
you-
surprised Chinatown didn't make anybody's list.
That's
I
in
like
my top
Chinatown.
10.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in my
that-
top 10.
Yeah.
That would be top 30.
If someone tells me they like Monopoly, first of all, I throw up. I usually stay there to let them know that I'm sick of them. But if someone tells me Monopoly is their favorite game, Chinatown is what I will lead off with.
I was very much tempted on saying Jurassic Park Monopoly just to fuck with you.
There is a glass between you and me.
That
glass is not broken yet and in your neck.
Yes.
I'm just saying you're walking down that road.
I would like to, if I may, make a suggestion.
Go for it. Go for it.
Since we're gonna start trying to elaborate and pick the top 5, I think since Whitechapel is like mentioned 3 times, that it should be in the top 5.
Well, first of all, I think let's go ahead and say this. It is my number 4. It is two people's number 1s. It was not on Brady's list, but I think Brady has spoken very, very fondly of it right now. Are we, because of that crossover, are we willing to say the number 1 board game, definitively, according to the Travelers on the Omnibus, is Letters from Whitechapel?
I would put it in the top 5, but I would just say put an asterisk by it.
There's only top 5.
Yes, but he's saying top.
I'm saying the top.
The
I'm
top
saying
game.
because of the aggregate. Because it has appeared, again, as two people's number 1s, one person's number 4. It's in their top 5. It only skipped one list, and even then, it was spoken well of. I don't see anything getting over it on the list, unless someone else has an argument to the counter.
I don't have an argument, unfortunately. But I like Letters from Whitechapel. It is pretty far down the list of One versus All hidden movement games for me. There are other ones that I like a lot better than it.
See, I think you and I have had the discussion, or maybe the argument before. I think you love Spectre Ops, and I absolutely despise it.
I love Spectre Ops, but for me, like Fury of Dracula is probably my favorite of those.
I still need to play that one.
Fury's up there. My issue with Fury, the reason, like, again, that one's, I won't say top 10, but it's up there for me, is the fact that game is way more complicated than Whitechapel, in part because the person you are hunting has the ability to actually attack you back.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I don't like about Whitechapel is that it feels basic to me.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
I will not throw a fit if y'all put it up there because of just the aggregate of things.
Well, okay, no,
I don't hate the game. I just don't.
This is good information. Would you like to spend your nuclear bullet on my number 4, Letters from Whitechapel, because you can't shoot the other 2? Or was there anything else?
Well, then
you'd
it
like
would
to
just
shoot?
be. It would still be there because
it would still be there.
It would be tied.
No, but it will give you the satisfaction
Yeah.
of knowing that you killed Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
It will not give me
Not
any
in position,
satisfaction
but
because
there
it
are
will
2
not-
mentions of Twilight Imperium, which is I have not played that game,
Yeah,
so
me
I can't
neither.
really.
Yeah.
But
Really and truly, the only game on here that I have not played is Space Base. That's the only one I have played. I haven't played Gaia Project. I have played Terra Mystica.
I have played everything on this list. That blows my mind. Like this is my hobby, but holy hell, I didn't realize I'd played this many games.
Yeah, I haven't played Euphoria or Comet, but I've played or Twilight, but I've played everything else that's on the board.
Is there anything mentioned on this board right now that we don't see in the top 5 total, like a top aggregate top 5 from all of us?
I would say Azul, honestly. I enjoy the game. It can be very fun. It can be very cutthroat-esque, but to me, it doesn't quite like reach the top. Like if I had to,
Pavilion is
I
a
would-
little bit more chill than the
I
other.
would also like if I could be devil's advocate here. There's also one thing about most of the games on this list is there's not many light games on the list. Like Tsuro is pretty light. I think
is definitely the lightest game.
the lightest game on the
Yeah.
list, and I think like you have
not a
to.
bad thing.
Yeah, for me personally, like I like a balance of light, medium, and heavy games because especially if you're trying to show somebody a game. Half of them.
I would say Azul is light. Takedo is light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very
Space
least,
Base.
medium scale.
Right,
For
right,
Takedo. Takedo, you run into an issue, I think, with if you've played it too many times or you're in a group of people who've played it too many times.
You can
they
game the
have-
game.
They have this notion of, okay, I have to go here, which means you have to go here, and you have to go here, and you have to go here. It's what I call the Puerto Rico problem, because the game Puerto Rico is very much like that. If you get experienced Puerto Rico players, it literally becomes almost a programming game in the fact that, okay, if he takes this, then he has to take this, and he has to take this, and he has to take this. And if one person steps out of that rhythm, a fight will happen. And what the fuck?
It's like doing the wrong thing while playing blackjack at a casino.
Yeah.
But I would argue that if you're playing Tokaido that much, which is that's a weird one to play that much, so much that you've got that. I don't know, but let's see. I don't know. Like, I don't have much to stand here on because 4 out of my 5 nobody picked, and it's not anywhere near anything like the others. That one kind of
you definitely had the most different list from everybody else. Which honestly, I think Scythe needs to be on that list. And I will say this: I was on the aggregate top 5, and I will say this for this reason: Scythe wasn't the first big Kickstarter success in board gaming. I think that goes to Alien Frontiers. But for me, it was the thing that showed me that you can get high quality both in gameplay and in production from a company that knows what they're doing, that would typically not be able to get to mass market. I think Scythe helps open up doors for that. I think there is something about a cultural significance to this game that I think needs to be recognized, and for that reason, I think it should be on our aggregate top 5. I legitimately believe that.
Where would we place it though?
Let's see if we can. Let's
put an asterisk by it and say it's in the top 5.
Okay.
Just like like I would say Whitechapel too, right?
Yeah.
Like just put an asterisk by it so we know it's in the top 5.
I find that fair. So again, I think the major aggregate one that's on there is my number 2 and Brady's number 5, Twilight Imperium 4. We have 2 people though that have never played it before, so there's no opinion there.
I've heard stories of of the 2 of you playing,
And most of them
Twilight
happen on
Imperium.
December 27th.
Yes, well,
Yes.
the particular day.
Yeah.
But when I hear these stories of you guys playing it, and for me watching it this past year, it's made me want to play it.
Yeah. Which, by the way, both of you, like, spoiler alert, you're both invited this year. Again, whoever, like, once the formal invitations go out, because they fill up quick. Like,
I've seen.
It is so weird to me that I run this on my birthday, and this game has taken on more lore than my fucking birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to me. So, like, for that, I think it should be on the list again. The
I do
aggregate,
too.
and also because it generates stories more so than just who won the game.
Which is very important.
I think there's an argument though for it being a little bit lower because again, 2 out of the 4 haven't played this, and it is much harder to get to the table, like really once a year.
Yeah. Oh no!
We will probably have a chance to play this.
There are people. This is a counterpoint, but it's a counterpoint that I say just baffled. There are people who play this once a week. They get together and once a week they play Twilight Imperium, and I cannot understand that. I can't.
They're not board game fans. They're Twilight.
Yeah, they're Twilight Imperium fans. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Is anything that we see on here that we don't see getting on the aggregate 5? Anything like? There's so many, like you guys knocked it out of the park. These are all great choices.
Are very good lists.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I really have a strong dislike for any of these, and some, like, I'll be honest, like Suro, I like. It's a really good like entry game, but it's not one it's not one that I would ever be like. I don't ever think of like playing Suro. Because I played it a long time ago, and I don't. You know, and it's a simpler game, which isn't a bad thing because I do like some simpler games, but it's not one that I personally go back to because I've played it in the past, and I feel like I've done everything that I can with it.
Do you want to nuclear bullet it?
I'm fine if you nuclear bullet it because
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Bang!
All right, line through.
Suro's
gone.
Has taken the nuclear bullet from
Good
Brady.
game, and there's nothing wrong with simple, easy games.
But does not make the aggregate.
Okay,
top
so
5.
if we're looking for balance in the aggregate list too, so we've knocked out one light game, but I would argue Brady's list is heavier than I expected to be.
My list is quite heavy because
Jody's got 2 medium to lights with Azul and Tokaido. I don't want to call.
There were tons of lighter games that were close to making that top 5, but
I would argue Mysterium is medium to light. I would argue Space Base is medium to light because it's basically rolling a die and then picking something.
I would also argue that since we have Scythe, Rising Sun probably doesn't make the cut.
Oh, are you using your nuclear bullet?
No.
Really and truly, I as much as I love Kemet and Rising Sun, those both fill a very similar spot that Scythe does. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be. I would say that
with Rising Sun in particular, Kemet is more battle, like literally about battling, whereas in Scythe, fighting isn't necessarily a good thing. Mm-hmm. And in Kemet, in Rising Sun, again, fighting might necessarily be a good thing. You maybe just want to just consolidate your stuff, and you may not want to like kill another opponent because they get points off of you murdering them.
So you can win that game without winning too many battles. And
maybe
is kind of the
sometimes
same thing.
maybe not winning any battles. I've had a game
and you can't do that in Kemet.
Yeah, you have to win in Kemet. Yeah, you absolutely have to. But in Rising Sun, like I've seen someone like lock up second place. Like they didn't win, but they came very close to winning, and didn't win a single battle on the board. They just kept churning points from from losing battles and gaining points from that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see. So, of those light games we've mentioned, what do we think is the best light style game out of that?
I would say Mysterium.
You're going to go with Mysterium.
Mysterium is one of those real nice like intro games for someone getting into board gaming. It has cooperation. It has a lot of aspects that I personally like in some games. I would say it is a contender, but where in the top 5, no idea.
I would argue with that one if Jay had said Mysterium Park, which is that's stripped down version of Mysterium. I would say definitely.
That's a very good. Brady
Mysterium.
Makes a very good
the problem that you get is if one person has played it and the other people haven't played it, it becomes very difficult because that one person is probably going to be the ghost and is not going to be speaking through the whole game, so he can't really help.
Yeah.
If you get, it's really good if you have like a couple of people who have played it and one person who can be the ghost and is good at that, and then you have a couple of people who haven't played it so that you can kind of, because once you've done your thing, you can
go help the new person.
Look, okay, yeah, and then you can help them. I do like Mysterium, and I think it's one of the better cooperative games out there. But for that reason, as an intro thing, I don't agree with that.
I think, and let me just, I was going to tack on Ethan's point, but then you made an absolutely good point. If you want to get into that type of game, Mysterium Park is where to go to it. It can also, I think, play lesser people, which this thing goes up to 7, and I do think it plays better on the higher end of the play scale, which getting 7 people together might be harder for a play group.
That's true.
No, that's a very good point for that. So much so, Ethan, I'm shooting Mysterium.
Shooting Mysterium.
I'm using my bullet on Mysterium. We're not going to consider it.
2 bullets have been used.
So again, of the light games left, honestly, my vote's for Azul Summer Pavilion. It is extremely light. It is a gorgeous game. You put that down on a table, someone's going to at least like crane their head over. I think it gets people to the table. I think it plays very easily. It's a 4-player play count. I think at 2 players, it's not playable because one person gets ahead and
Definitely
they never not are ahead.
Yeah.
So 3-4 players, absolutely. That I think is my one caveat I have against it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Azul makes the aggregate.
I think when it comes to like a lighter game, I'm going to vote for Tokaido.
You're going to go with Tokaido.
It is. I imagine I've never played it enough to where I've never heard of anything about it having that problem that you were talking about, Jay. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a very simple, easy game to play. I played this game with my kids, and it's chill. It's a very chill game. Like all you're doing is trying to have a nice journey. That's all you're trying to do.
So
I'm
on Reddit and I'm on board game subreddits. And
that's a you problem.
No, that is it. No, but I will tell you, there are people who have done quote unquote like guides for all these games, and like this is what everybody needs to do if you need to win this. And there are like multiple ones for Tokaido where if this person sits here, then you have to go either here or here. If you have this person, you need to go here or here. It ruins the fun of the game.
Well, yeah, those are terrible people, and I don't ever want to play with them.
No. But also, let me also say this. They also have guides for, I think, pretty much every game on that list. One of them being Azul Summer Pavilion, where it's like if you have this certain number of a color out on the board at this point in round, and there you need to take this because then you're building up.
Fuck
to that.
all those people. We don't need math in our board games. What the hell are these people talking about?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
So Jody, we've got one vote for Tokaido and one vote for Azul Summer Pavilion. Both of these are on your list. Azul is higher on your list, but if we're going to put a light game indicative maybe of light games in general for the aggregate top 5, which one would you prefer?
For general appeal, I would say Tokaido probably.
Okay. Ethan, what about you?
I can't really say much about Tokaido. It's one of those games I've yet to play myself.
We gotta fix that.
Yeah.
We need to fix this on the
Well,
line.
we can semi-fix it tomorrow because I'll bring Namiji, which is, again, the spiritual successor to it. It's a little different, but it's, again, anyone who's played it, it's going to feel right at home.
But I will say, when it comes to Azul, even though I don't place it high up on my list, it's still a very nice game. I can see how people will be attracted to this game. It's very beautiful. The rules are somewhat complicated, but it's a very simple game. Very light.
You were the first person to ever tell me that Azul is a complicated game.
It's one of the first
Summer Pavilion.
non-poker games.
I can see that there are things that are not as easy to grasp as maybe some of the other.
It's one of the first board games I've played.
I'm not saying that to diminish anyone here. That's the first time I've heard that, and that kind of fascinates me. I get maybe part of it is if you've played Azul and then you go into the other one. Like to me, Stained Glass of Sintra, the second game, that one's way too complicated for what they're trying to do in that game. That one's just overly complicated. So, like I said, I guess compared to that and Summer Pavilion, that's the first time I've ever heard about that. So, if we're gonna get a simple game on there,
that's 50-50 so far.
50-50.
I'm gonna kill Azul off the board.
He's gonna shoot Azul.
Azul.
All right, and so let's star up Tokaido, and that has made the aggregate list. All right.
All right. So we have 4 games.
We got 4 games on the aggregate. We need one more. Anything stands out to anybody?
I will say, all of us have sat down with this game, and I believe all of us enjoy this game a lot. I'd say Wingspan. Just for
I was going to say that, but I didn't want my Stonemeyer bias to show.
I brought out your Stonemeyer bias, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
I didn't need any help.
I made that front and front. Like I thought that I literally thought your nickname was going to be Mr. Stonemeyer.
I watch Jamie Stegmaier videos, who is the owner of Stonemeyer and the creator of Euphoria and Scythe, weekly pretty much.
But
is the reason Wingspan isn't on your list is because it's made by a bird crazy?
No, she's a very lovely person.
She's a lovely person, but she is bird crazy.
She is very bird crazy. She knows.
You'd have to be.
She knows so much about birds.
Yeah.
I love Elizabeth Hargrave to death, and I don't necessarily mean that as a negative, but she is bird crazy. I'm just saying.
2 expansions, right?
She has a lot of that second grade teacher vibes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
If you see her,
if you want a random video that you'd never think you'd see, up, down, down, WWE's video game channel, which was originally manned by one Mr. Austin Creed. Him, Cesaro, Adam Cole, and Tyler Breeze played Wingspan on in an online version with Elizabeth Hargrave, and she's just quoting bird facts.
Like every time somebody plays a bird, it's just, oh, this bird does this.
And these grappling wrestler men are just enamored.
Yeah, they're just,
like, enamored with cool birds. This is great.
Did you know there are 10,000 different varieties of the hummingbird?
Yeah,
she's not Julia Child. What we're going to do is
I've never heard her voice, so I made up one for her.
No, you didn't make up one. You stole Julia Child's voice. We're going to build a wonderful goose today.
Hey, Ethan, who's Julia Childs?
I know Julia Childs, thank you.
Oh, you
okay, hold on. We've still got a minute. Tell me everything you know about Julia Child.
Julia Child, she went to France with her husband when he was in the military. She wanted to learn French cooking. She took multiple...
Stop reacting. You're interrupting him.
Julia Childs took multiple French cooking classes. she eventually got to the point where she made a American cookbook translating French recipes into English. She has a Smithsonian section in the Smithsonian Museum.
I didn't know you went to culinary school.
I did.
Because that's the only place I
My
can.
favorite thing about
figure
Julia
they're doing
Childs is that
Secretly,
whenever
Ethan's
somebody
been
was
planning to make a
something-
Julia Childs board game, and we had no idea.
There you go. Okay, so I think honestly, just from the energy that we've kind of generated, for
I would say
Wingspan here,
Wingspan in the
let's
top
say
five.
Wingspan gets into the aggregate. Let's say a star that. So we have our
top five.
top five. Now where do they go?
Again, I would argue Twilight Imperium 4 at number 5 because half of us haven't played it, and it is a daunting game.
You know what? Even though it's my number 2, I will co-sign on that. So yes. So unless anybody disagrees,
no,
that's
that
our
makes
number
complete
5.
sense to me.
All right.
No opposition.
We got 4 left. I need to put Wingspan at 4. If it's not going to be what's weird
Yeah, it
about
can't
this,
be any higher.
yeah, in part because people have rated other Stonemaier games higher than it. There were Euro games that didn't make this list, or didn't make the aggregate list that were way higher on other people's lists. For that, Wingspan is a good game. Like for me, top
Right.
10, maybe at the outside of the top 10. But to go any higher than 4 with what we've presented here
Right.
today, I think we're kind of being weird.
And Takedo would have to be number 3. Like I would.
So number 4 is Wingspan. Number 3, we're going to go with Takedo. What were the other 2 choices going to be?
Whitechapel and Scythe.
Whitechapel and
Scythe.
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 Yeah,
Whitechapel.
Whitechapel and Scythe are going to. I'm sorry, Takedo. You might be a road, but we're stepping
That's
on you.
why. That's
mean,
all I
it's
was
the way
like.
it
It's
is.
got to be number 3.
All
like
right. So Scythe and Letters from Whitechapel. I had a feeling, like, for me, it's still Letters. Mm-hmm. For me, it's still Letters. I know we have one, I won't say vehement, but definitely on the other side of this with Brady, and the fact that his number 1 game is being considered with the other thing.
Yeah, there's bias in this, but again, like two out of the 4 of us chose that as their number 1 game.
Let me
I'm
also,
not gonna throw a fit if it's number 1.
let me throw this out there. I think Letters is easier to get to a table than it is Scythe, because you have a lot. Like again, it's a lot of simple
it's
gears,
easier
but there's
to
a
teach.
there's a lot more gears in Scythe than there is for Letters from Whitechapel. And I think
pulling
accessibility
outside takes a, if nobody's played it before, it takes.
also, one's a cooperative game and the other one is not.
Yeah,
I think then Scythe 2 and Letters 1. I will say one more thing for Scythe. I will agree with this. For what it does it better than almost any other board game because it's a war game where fighting isn't necessarily good. It is a Euro game that isn't themeless. I think it does a lot of things that don't get really done well in other types of games in the genres. So we present now to our viewers or listeners, I'll get this right one day, the absolute 100% undisputable Travelers of the Omnibus top 5 board games of all time. Number 5, Twilight Imperium 4. Number 4, Wingspan. Number 3, Tokaido. Number 2, Scythe. And number 1, Letters from Whitechapel is the number 1 game of all time. Full stop. Speaking of full stop, I think this bus is about to roll on in. Ethan,
Yes.
take it back over, brother.
We are unfortunately rolling into the gas station, ready to fuel up, getting ready.
Right next to the Lords of the Waterdeep.
Right next to the Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep wasn't in on
Nope.
anybody's list.
Nope.
Like at all.
It's in my top 10, but it's not my top
you go.
5.
I
Yeah.
believe Lords of Waterdeep is Greg's favorite board game. Which, speaking of Gregory Spanier,
That was smooth.
Nice
That was
transition.
smooth as fuck, man. Go for it.
we would like to thank Mechnarb Gaming, located in Goshen, Mississippi, for the use of their studio to record this lovely podcast. If you are fans of board games, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Dungeons and Dragons, come down to Mechnarb Gaming and grab and pick up your poison of choice and have a fun time with your friends.
Also, Minis Games. They have a Star Wars Legion League every Thursday, I believe. Or they're starting it back up again, one or the other. They also have once a month a Warhammer 40K tournament. Come on out if you like minis as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Whiskey and Wrestling is the premier #1 wrestling podcast on the internet. I don't care if you haven't heard it yet. You should. Michael Hill, Jason Holder, going through a week's worth of news, views, and other things from the world of wrestling. They'll also divine themselves of fancy liqueurs, normally just whiskeys. There's some like Satori whiskey that I tried. It is not a mixing whiskey, but I tried it on their recommendation, and I kind of enjoyed it. I hope I said that right. Jason and Mike, I'm sorry if I didn't.
I can't wait for them to talk about Ezekiel.
Look at how they massacred my poor boy.
I'm his brother.
They this past week they had some angel wings or something like that whiskey, which tasted like candy that burned. It was very good.
I know of another thing called angel wings, and that is a totally different
It was
thing,
angel
and
something.
I'm scared.
I don't know what it is.
There
I
we
don't know
go.
what the actual name of it was, but
Tune
it was
into
really,
Whiskey
really
and
good.
Wrestling
I
to
don't
find
like
out
whiskey.
about the whiskeys, because we
Yeah.
don't normally drink the whiskeys.
Yeah.
Who's doing silence your cell phones? I'll do silence your cell phones. We're all too quiet. Silence your cell phones. Jarrett Hubbard. I was about to call him Blake Shelton. That's the singer.
Yes, Blake Shelton. He personally comes in.
Blake Shelton, star of The Voice, and also the remake of Footloose. Not the remake, but the song Footloose. I literally forgot. I forgot his name. Someone help! Look up their podcast.
Kevin Shelton.
Kevin Shelton, thank you. I didn't forget it all. I'm leaving all that in. If you are a shameful person, you should admit
Where are your
sins.
keys, Jay?
There you go. Yes. So, no, I'm going back to Blake Shelton and Jared Underwood. I don't know if that's a person, but yeah, no, they
Carrie Underwood's a person.
Blake Shelton and Carrie Underwood go to movies apparently.
Oh my God!
That's two country singers that we've referenced in this.
And there you go. You didn't think
Probably the only country singer.
if you had an
I don't even
over
listen
under,
to country
if you had an
music.
over under and took the over on that for this podcast, you were wrong. You just were. Anyway, no. Kevin Shelton and Jared Hubbard. Yay. They go through what they've been watching in movies and TVs and telling you whether or not you should watch them or not watch them. They have a live show that happens usually every Wednesday. It might actually be being aired right now as we are recording.
Quite possible.
Possibly.
So there you go on that. So yes, again, Silence Your Cell Phones available on Anchor, Spotify, and wherever good podcasts are found. Similarly to Silence Your Cell Phones. All right. Well, that
Fearology is a podcast where I, Jody Kite, talk about horror and my personal experiences with horror movies and media. And currently my episode uploaded recently is Horror from the Second Dimension about horror and anime. And you can check that out on Anchor and also fucking Spotify.
I don't mean to insult you, but I legitimately in that moment forgot you had a podcast.
I'm sure you did.
I legitimately was like, okay, we got through this, we're good to go. And I was
Nope.
like, oh, nope, we got that in there. I'm glad you jumped in, man.
Oh yeah, every time.
Ethan,
We're going off the rails, everyone.
Ethan, you
Hey, this is a bus, not a train, motherfucker.
Hold on, let me play a sound effect. Ethan,
Appropriate.
finish this shit off.
Thank you for listening.
Hit the button so that stops,
It's
please.
one of the non-stops.
Oh
It's
my
gonna keep
God,
going.
why did you
for
press
30
it?
seconds.
Thank you for listening to Travelers on the Omnibus, everyone.
I hate you so much.
I am Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
Brady Davis.
Jody Kite.
We'll see you guys next week. Jay, please hit the stop button.